Top 10 players in all of Blue Lock. A lot of you guys have been begging for my updated top 10, and trust me, this changed a lot, especially in the last match. When I talk about this, I forego the professionals, because I feel like, at least narratively, they're kind of spoken for. The ranking's pretty obvious. Noel Noah stated that Mark Snuffy is better than him. That means that the world's number one, Noel Noah, is the second best player in the world, the number one's best striker, followed by the world's number two striker, Chris Prince. Then Lavinho, then Julian Loki, then you can factor in the rest of the New World 5 however you want. Point is, that's how it is, and that's how it's going to stay, until we're introduced to more professionals. Or we see some of the new gens level up. But where this topic gets interesting is when you solely look at the U20 players. Not only the Japanese players, not only the Blue Lock facility players, but the entire Neo Egoist League that we've been introduced to so far, as well as past and present characters from arcs like the U20. This is where the real debates are to be held, because a lot of the community is split on where they believe certain people should be in rankings, because, you know, a lot of people have favorite players. There's going to be a lot of biases, but then there's also people who look into the stats and can actually reason why certain people should be where they believe, as opposed to where someone else believes. So that's what I want to talk about today, because this is where the most discussion can be had. And obviously, you can't simply go off of Neo Egoist evaluations, because as we know, they value goals a lot higher. So whoever the best overall player is might not be represented properly by that price. And you can agree to disagree if you want, but this is just what I feel the current state of Blue Lock is looking at right now. So first off, in the 10th spot, we have a tie. And the tie is actually going to be between two players who are very, very similar to each other. That being Seishiro Nagi and Shido Ryusei. The reason that these two players are down here is, one, we all know Nagi. He is latent potential at its finest. Like I said in the last video, he is the most potent scoring threat that we've seen in the entirety of the series. He just doesn't know ball. On the other hand, we have Shido Ryusei, who arguably is a better scorer than Nagi. Just, you know, not with the same amount of potential, because Nagi's abilities are latent and he doesn't know football. But Shido knows what he's doing. Not only can he play in a fundamental, regular system, he just doesn't like to. That's besides the point. He can score basically on his own against not entire teams. It was in the third selection, so it was smaller teams of 4 or 5, whatever it was. Still, Shido's the threat to anybody on the field and is probably the number one scoring threat no matter who else he's on the pitch against. Now, I would love to put Shido higher, and I feel like once we see him in the PXG match, he's going to be, but as for right now, all we have to go off of is the U20 match, and like I've already tried to debunk in the past, and I believe I've debunked pretty well, his performance is heavily outweighed by the hype of the goals he scored, and yes, they were 2 super goals that were absolutely ridiculous, and he had no right scoring both in one half. And he does make a case for MVP of the entire match. But there's been 3 matches since then, and PXG hasn't been showcased. So how could I rightfully put someone who we haven't seen in 3 matches, those 3 matches actually having a shit ton of character development and leveling up in the process? How could I put that person above the people that we've seen develop and leveling up at these insane rates that we've never seen before? But I think that makes sense to most of you. So let's move on, because we have another tie. This time between the chameleon Mikage Ryo and Yo Hiyori. Look, if you would have told me that Hiyori was going to have one of the craziest bounce backs ever, I'm not sure I would have believed you. I don't think I would have believed you in the beginning of the match. I probably would have thought you were lying midway through. But I don't think anyone was expecting this. The skill that Hiyori pulled off in the Ubers vs. Bayern Munich match is definitely the turning point that Bayern Munich needed. It's the reason that they truly won, in my opinion. If they didn't have Hiyori, they would have lost, and that's the truth. This is the highest he can go, though, because there's just too much of a case for everyone else that's above him, as well as the person who he's tied with, Mikage Ryo. Ryo versus Hiyori, base to base, at least right now. It might have been different in the past, but right now, Ryo's better. He has more weapons. He's more of a better all-around player. And besides passing, I'd say he's probably better in almost every single aspect than Hiyori. Maybe besides shooting. They were both former strikers, and it's a little kind of hard to debate it. But it's up to you and your interpretation. But if I were to give the edge to either one of them, I would say Ryo. I used to have Ryo very high up on my list, but after further consideration, I wanted to drop him down a little bit, and it's really, really hard for me to do that. Like, looking at Ryo's name at number 9, and tied at number 9 for that matter, is kind of hard for my soul. But it's how it's going to be. Because coming in at number 8, we have Meguru Bachira. I have honestly downplayed Bachira immensely in my time on this channel, and I feel like that was completely uncalled for. Because after rereading the Barcha match and understanding that he really doesn't have many weapons. Besides Otoya, that dude's... He has to fight alone. And I get it, they're almost perfectly in tune with just him. But realistically, he kind of has to freestyle on the entire team and then just like dish it out every once in a while. And then eventually score himself just for them to win. Which is a really shitty situation. He's probably in the worst situation out of anybody else. We'll see how PXG is when we get to it, but I feel like they're kind of going to be an electric team. And it's due to those shitty circumstances that I've had a change of heart. And I've agreed that Bachira is better than I gave him credit for in the past. So that's why he gets the number 8 spot. That's why he's above Ryo. That's why he's above Nagi. Now, someone that I believe the entire community would agree is firmly above all of them, and maybe even should be higher, is Gin Gagamaru. Truly a prodigy goalkeeper, the best goalkeeper that we've seen in Japan, at least, in the entire series so far. Gagamaru is truly a special talent. Not only was he a talented striker, but when he made this transition not only 4 games ago, he became the best player that we've seen at that position. Due to his innate athletic ability, Gagamaru has truly proven himself as not only the best goalkeeper that we've seen so far, but one of the best overall players in the entirety of the series. Let's not forget, he started off as a striker, same as everybody else. But he made the transition to where he needed to be because he understood that's what the team needed, and that's where he would have exceeded best. So as far as I'm concerned, Gagamaru could go up, surely out of respect. But for me, I feel comfortable putting him right here. Because in the number 6 spot, I have someone who scored 2 goals on Gin Gagamaru. And that's Baro Shohei. The reason Baro is only number 6, despite his really, really, really impressive showing that we saw in the last match, I'm not going to take that away from him, is because he couldn't close it out when he needed to. And as you guys know, I am still on the firm belief that Isagi's plot armor in that last match was a little crazy, and Baro just kind of suffered for it in the end, because the way I had it, Baro should have scored the hat-trick. He hasn't really gotten that many wins, and I feel like if we could have given him this one and just thrown in that little bone, it would have been good and a wholesome moment for the character, just showing that Isagi's not the only person leveling up. He's still going to have to go up in levels to compete with these people because they were already monsters who were better than him previously. But now, I'm turning this into an Isagi rant, aren't I? I gotta stop doing that. Point is, Baro got shafted. So for now, he's coming in at 6. Meaning at number 5, we have a Toshirin. And I hate to say this because you guys know me. I'm the Atoshi Glazer. Dude. We haven't seen Rin since the U20. And it was Berserker Rin who was the strongest blue locker that we'd seen up to that point by far. But still, with Isagi's development in the last match and the shit that he was able to pull off, especially in conjunction with Hiyori, his metavision is on a completely different level than anyone else's that we've seen. And I'm sure that when we actually see Rin's metavision, it's probably going to be better. Potentially. And we do know that both Rin and Isagi scored 2 goals against the Ubers. That's just how it went down. As we know, in the PXG match, Rin scored 2, Shido scored 1. That's how it ended. Same with Isagi scoring 2, Kaiser scoring 1. So, they're on even playing fields at the moment. Going into this match, they are truly even. I'm just giving that slight edge to Isagi at the moment. Because, like I said, his development not only through this last match, but the entirety of the Neo Egos League has been off the charts. It's been great till this match, like I've already argued. But at least for right now, even though I want to deny it, because of plot armor, Isagi has better feats than Rin, so he's going to be ranked above him now. Now, an issue some of you may have, and I'm sure you understand it by now, is that Isagi didn't crack the top 3. And the reason he didn't crack the top 3 is because he's still not on the level of the New Gen 11s. Based on the narrative and based on the plot armor that he's been given, he's probably right here. And realistically, he's probably going to be on that level by the end of the PXG match. But as for right now, skill for skill, single human for single human, no other teams, he's not better than any of the three. Now, my order for the three is the interesting part because it's changed up pretty heavily from the last time I ranked. As you guys know, I was a firm believer of Kaiser, Sai, then Lorenzo. Just because Lorenzo was unproven, Sai has really not had great competition. It was the Blue Lockers who were playing out of position for 90% of it. And Kaiser just was the most proven and the most hyped up and shown the most feats. But now he's at my third spot. And why is he at my third spot? Because he lost the duel to Isagi. Because he got body bagged by the dude in the number 2 spot, Don Lorenzo. And overall, Kaiser stock diminished, not drastically, but a decent amount from this last match because he wasn't able to overcome Isagi, because he wasn't able to score more goals and win the game for Bayern Munich himself. Now, I understand Don Lorenzo was on him, and that's a hard man mark to shake. As we saw, he really wasn't able to do it besides when he baited Isagi. But that's why Don Lorenzo's at number 2. It just goes to show the skill level that he truly possesses. And furthermore, the reason that he's at number 2 is because I went back and I had to reevaluate my true thoughts, feelings, and presumptions regarding Itoshi Sai. The only thing that still throws it off, so I guess I can see if you want to put Sai 3, Kaiser 2, and then Lorenzo 1. That makes perfect sense to me because at the end of the day, Kaiser still has more, I guess you could say, confirmed weapons. We don't know if Sai has Metavision. It's presumed that he would. Like, it's kind of obvious that he would. And as we know, there's no real passing ability besides whatever Pablo Cavazos has, but we don't have a name for it. So, other than just having the best kicking accuracy in the series, stated best kicking accuracy in the series, other than Pablo, obviously, I think that we have to give Sai a little bit more respect. And who knows, maybe I'm wrong and he gets absolutely bodied by Rin the next time they meet, but I just don't think that's going to be the case. And if I'm wrong, cool. But if I'm not, even cooler. But as for right now, this is going to be my top 10. I wasn't expecting it to be this. Like, I was typing it out and I was like, holy fuck, this is not the ranking I was expecting to make. It's not the ranking I had a week ago. But right now, this just makes the most sense to me. And I feel like it would make the most sense to you. But I don't know. You're going to have to let me know in the comments down below. But as for right now, that's all I got to say. So thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, I love you guys. Take it easy.